Welcome to my channel Daily Bulletin News. Xander gets shocking news, plus, Abigail nearly kisses Chad. As Steve sits at the pub, picking over his burger, he tells a much cheerier Kayla that he can't stop thinking about Abigail. Coincidentally, at that exact moment, the young woman in question is on the phone over at the DeMera mansion telling Mark that Steve won't be as easy to fool as everyone else. It's worth noting that this being days of our lives, she has this conversation in the middle of the living room with the doors wide open for anyone to hear and, well, what do you know, in strolls Chad, conveniently calling out her name so she can ixnay on the fake Abigail talk. Hanging up quickly, she claims to have been ordering sushi. I heard you say you were freaking out, Chad responds, and she quickly explains she forgot the address. Honey, it's Salem. Just say, the DeMera mansion. Pretty much everyone in town has been held captive there at one time or another. She spins several other little lies, all of which he buys thanks to her scrambled brain excuse. Abigail tells Chad about her conversation with Steve. I'm surprised he didn't come sooner, to see you for himself with his own two eyes, says Chad. Abigail quips, his own one eye. She worries that was insensitive, but Chad gives her a high five and says Steve would have appreciated it. He tries to make her understand that people may be wary because the whole situation feels too good to be true. She wonders if that's how he feels, too. I feel like this is the miracle that I prayed for every single night since you left me, he admits, adding that she is loved by so many people, including him. Chad says he swung by to show her their wedding album in the hopes of jogging her memory. They flip through the pages, and she's surprised to find out they were married 3 times. We've had our share of ups and downs, he admits, but we always found our way back to each other, like now. He then recites the vows from their wedding, or at least one of them, as Abigail tears up, whether because she's moved or perhaps even feeling a little bit guilty. It's a lovely, lovely moment, and if you're a fan of Billy Flynn and/or Chad, I highly recommend seeking it out. Nobody's ever said anything like that to me, she says, before catching herself and saying, that I remember. They almost kiss. Only to be interrupted by a call from Julie, saying Charlotte is sick. Before he leaves, Abigail thanks Chad for bringing the photo album, saying she was clearly a lucky woman. I was the lucky one, he insists, adding, I still am. The second he's gone, Abigail gasps, clearly overcome with emotion. Steve admits to Kayla he can't understand why Abigail lied to him, having claimed to be on the phone with his wife, who later denied the conversation. Kayla says it might have been a simple mix-up, but knows her hubby doesn't believe that. It seemed like she was covering, he says, then asks, just for the sake of argument, what excuse Abigail might have to lie. Kayla suggests he just come out and admit he doesn't think that Abigail is Abigail. Steve tells Kayla about having caught Abigail talking to Stefano's portrait about her brother. When Sweetness brings up the DNA test, Steve reminds her that a whole lot of DNA tests have been tampered with in Salem over the years. Steve brings up all his other issues, including the facial surgery Abigail had, and asks that his wife run another DNA tests. She refuses, saying it's a violation of her HIPAA oath. He hopes to change her mind with sweet nothings, but she snaps, don't you, Sweetness, me, Stephen Earl Johnson. He's just going to have to find another way to get the answers he's looking for, she says. Steve decides the best course of action is to track down Clyde and get answers from him. Nothing good ever comes from you getting mixed up with Clyde Weston, points out Kayla. And what makes you think he'll tell you the truth anyway? Steve says that if he doesn't, he'll finish what Chad started. Kayla doesn't love him talking about possibly committing murder. She also wonders how Steve will get into the maximum security prison where Clyde's being met. I'm sorry, he replies, have we met? Because where there's a will, there's a way. Maggie finds Sarah sitting in the living room and asks how her session with Marlena went. It was kinda a bust, admits Sarah, saying that even with hypnosis, she couldn't remembering seeing Brady behind the wheel. Talk turns to their concerns about Xander. Fiona urges a bat-wielding Xander not to bash Brady's skull in. As Xander's ready to do his worst, his mom says she has a confession to make. Don't worry, Mom, I'm not going to kill him, insists Xander, raising the bat again. I'm just going to do to him what he did to Sarah. Desperate to prevent her son from going all caveman, she blurts out, "Brady and I slept together." This stops Xander in his tracks as he asks why she would say something so vile. Fiona reminds him about the men's underwear he found in her hotel room, a conversation I'm pretty sure he wishes they'd never revisited. And while Fiona probably hoped this would somehow make the situation better, as you can see from the photo below, it kinda sorta had the opposite reaction as Xander lunged at his mother's secret lover. "What is this?" asks a furious Xander. "I shot your mom so you shag mine." Brady and Fiona both admit that they didn't know they shared a connection when they slept together. Fiona makes the mistake of saying, "the first time," which Xander quickly picks up on and asks how often it happened. Just when it looked like things couldn't get more awkward, Xander asks if his mom fell off the wagon and landed on this jackass. Brady lies, saying he was the only one who drank. As Fiona protects Brady, Xander hopes she hasn't developed feelings for him. Ultimately, Xander says there's nothing Brady can ever say or do that will make things right between them. He then tells Brady to pack up and, "Get the hell out of my building, you're fired." Alex arrives on Stephanie's doorstep to apologize for not having shown up at the memorial she held for Everett. "No biggie," she says, asking if he wants a drink or has lines to memorize for Body and Soul or push-ups to do or something. Stephanie laments that she couldn't help Everett, and Alex assures her not only that what happened wasn't her fault, but that she will find love again. "You're beautiful, you're brilliant, you're successful," he says. "You are the whole package. Any guy would be crazy not to want to be with you." He pulls her into a hug which slowly morphs into a kiss which quickly turns passionate. Please subscribe our channel.